Vivekachudamani. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitra Varenayam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sehna Bhavatu Sehna Bhunaktu Saviryam Karvavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti 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 Om. Last week, we ended our class with verse number 230, where Adi Shankaracharya is saying, the entire universe being the effect of the real Brahma can be nothing other than it. Okay? It is of the essence of that, that means the Brahma, and it cannot exist apart from Brahma. Anyone who says it does is still under delusion, and he babbles like one in a deep sleep. He's not awakened yet. Anybody who says it's not Brahma. Okay. So let's look at verse number 231 today. Brahmaiva idam vishvam iti eva vanihi shroti brute atharvanishtaha varishtaha tasmat etat brahma matram hi vishvam na adhishthanat bhinnataha aropitasya. Brahma, that's the absolute truth. Ev means alone. Idam, this. Vishwam, universe. Iti means thus. Ev, verily. Vani, declaration or sayings. Vani, Shruti, of the Shrutis. Okay? Shruti is what? The Vedas. Shruti, the primary scriptures. Brute says, Atharvanishtaha, Atharva Veda. There are 4 Shrutis. Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda. Okay, so he's quoting over here from the Atharva Veda. Varishtaha. Tasmad, therefore, etat this, Brahma matram, Brahma alone. He means indeed Vishwam, universe. Na means not, adhishthanat, of its substratum. Bhinnata, difference. Aropitasya, of the superimposed thing. Truly, this entire universe is Brahma. This is the declaration of the Atharva Veda. Therefore, this universe is Brahma alone. For a superimposition has no existence independent of its substratum. Okay? So Brahma alone is the universe. Brahma eva idam vishwam. Where did we read this before? I'm sure you remember. Mundak Upanishad. Mundak Upanishad, which belongs to Atharva Veda. Okay? So we know that 4 Vedas and 108 Upanishads spread out all the 4 Vedas. So this Mundak Upanishad is one of those Vedas, Upanishads, and it is part of the Atharva Veda. And this declaration is from Mundak Upanishad. Brahma eva idam vishwam. So the entire world of name and forms we perceive is nothing but Brahman. So in the previous verse, Shankaracharya is saying it. Now he says, even the Shruti is saying it. And he has given us many examples in the earlier verses where he said that effect is nothing but the cause in another form. So this conclusion is supported by the scriptures, the Shruti. Same truth. Brahm alone in this world of polarity that is around us. And he has given us the example of a serpent and the rope. If it's a rope and we think it's a serpent, it's nothing but the rope. Serpent was just only superimposed on the rope. The same way, all these names and the forms are superimposed on Brahm because it's nothing but Brahm. So when this realization dawns, we come to know that that substratum is alone is real. This is what he is talking about over here. So there was no modification ever in the rope. Okay. It was only a projection of the mind or the illusion of the mind. And that's what he's calling it over here, the upadhi. Let's look at how else he tries to bring it to our attention, this truth. Satyam yadi sayat jagat etat atmanaha anant tatvahanihi nigam apramanatah असत्यवादित्वम अपि ईशितु सेयात न एतत् त्रयम साधु हितम महात्मनाम. Satyam, real. Yadi, if. Sayat is Jagat, universe. Etat means this. Atmana, of the self. Anantam hanihi, loss of infinitude. Nigam apramanata, loss of validity of Vedic scriptures. Nigam. Asatyavaditvam, state of being a liar. Asatyavadi. Api means also. Ishutu, of the Lord. Sayat will be. Na means not. Etat, these. Trayam, three. Sadhu, proper. Like a desirable. Hitam, beneficial. Mahatma Nam, according to the great ones. Mahatma. Mahan Atma. If the universe as it is real, the Atma would not be infinite. The scriptures would be false. The Lord himself would be guilty of having spoken an untruth. None of these three is considered either desirable or wholesome by the Mahatmas of the pure-minded ones. So he is sporting with these arguments over here. The truth which he spoke in the last few verses, that this is all nothing but Brahma. So over here, he's saying that if you say that the universe, the world as we see it is real, there would be these three contradictions. First contradiction, he says, loss of endlessness. Anantatva hanihi. Because Brahman is considered to be all-pervading and infinite. If we think that this world is real, this polarity in this world is real, then what is infinite then? Because this world is limited and God is unlimited. So this is the argument he's making over here, the first one. Loss of endlessness. The second is nigam apramanata, falsification of the scriptures. Because the scriptures themselves declare that Brahma is real, world is unreal. If you say that the world is real, then these true declarations of the scriptures would be falsified. And that's not okay with the Mahatma, the pure-minded, those great people. And the third one, he says, asatyavaditvam, the Lord becomes a liar. Asatyavaditvam api isha. Because God is the revealer of the truths of the Upanishads. So if the Upanishads are, we declare that they are false, so would be the Lord, so would be the God. And that's not okay with us. Lord Krishna in Gita himself said, more than once he said, the world is just a projection and it has no reality and it is finite. So wise people will not accept this. That is the argument he's making. So 3. So that's why Trayam, loss of Atma's infinitude, that's number 1. Falsification of the scriptural declaration, number 2. And the Lord becoming a liar. In fact, all 6 of our darshans will not accept these statements. Okay, they'll say that, yeah, this is false. So we have to conclude that world is unreal. So world unreal means this manifested world. The world which we call a world, which is made out of forms and the names. Number 233. Ishvaraha vastuhu tatvagya na cha aham teshu avastitah na cha matsathani bhutani iti evam ev vyachikliprita. Ishvara, the Lord. Vastu tatvagya, knower of reality of all things. See, gya means the knower. And tatvagya, vastu tatvagya, knower of reality of all things. Na means not, cha means and, aham, I. Teshu, in them, avasthita, living. Na means not, cha and, mat sathani, existing in me, bhutani, the beings. Iti means thus, evam ev, in this way only. Vyachi kalprit, has supported. The Lord, who knows the secret of all things, that means the reality of all things, has expressly supported this view in his words. I do not abide in them. I do not live in them. Nor do beings exist in me. So God is the one who knows the play of polarity. And also it's a substratum, Brahm. So in Brahm, there is no world. And Brahm is also not available for direct perception in the world. He who knows both is the all-knower, the Ishwar. He knows that there is Brahma in his infinite wisdom. He knows it's just a play in the world of objects. And nacha matsathani bhutani. Lord Krishna said in Gita also, I am not in the joys and sorrows of this plural world. Na chaham teshu avasthite. Okay, so Adi Shankaracharya ji is giving all kinds of quotations to us so that we can understand this world of polarity has only a relative existence, not a absolute existence. That's what we got to understand. Because when we look at this world through our body, through our perceptions, through our emotions, sure, it seems real to us, but it is only has a relative existence, not the absolute. And when we transcend these limited views, then we see that, yeah, God is everywhere. There's no place where Brahm is not. Okay. So 234. यदि सत्यम भवेत विश्वम सुषुप्तौ अपि उपलभ्यताम यत न उपलभ्यते किंचित अता असत स्वप्नवत मृषा. Yadi, if satyam, true, bhavet, were, vishwam, the universe. So now he is trying to give us, making us understand little differently about this Brahma is the only reality. So Shuptau, in deep sleep, api means even, upalabhyatam, would have been perceived. Yat means since, na upalabhyate, is not perceived. Kinchit, anything, ataha, therefore, asat, unreal, swapanvat, like a dream, mrisha, false. If the universe were true, okay, this universe means this manifested world, names and forms. If they were true, it would have been perceived even in the deep sleep state. Okay? Recall those three states: waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. In deep sleep state, there's nothing. So he says if the universe were true, it would have been perceived even in the deep sleep state. Since it's not at all perceived, it must be like dreams or false or unreal. He is giving us this analogy because we all can relate to it. All of us go into this deep sleep state every time we sleep. Sometimes it could be a really short period of time, but still we do. And we know there's nothing there. So truth is that which remains unchanged in all the three periods of time. That is truth. So Satyam, which is called Satyam. So definition of Satya is that which remains unchanged in all the three periods of time. Past, present, and future. It should be there in the waking state. It should be there in the dream sleep consciousness. It should be in the deep sleep consciousness also. That is Satya. And we know that Atma, Paramatma, is there in all three states. That's why that's called a Sat. A Sat. So this pluralistic world is perceivable only as long as we are awake. Once we enter into this blissful deep sleep, this pluralistic world ends. It's not there for us. because mind is sleeping too. But when we wake up, excuse me, it again manifests. It just almost like a comes up for us to experience. But something which remains at one time, but not at another time, can never be truth, according to the scriptures. And according to our own understanding also. Truth has to be that which remains there all the time. So the world is only as true as a dream. That's why they say. And over here, Swapanvat, this is Ataha Asat Swapanvat Mrishaha. So the world is only as true as in a dream, because the dream and this plural world or pluralistic world is a mere perception of a mind under delusion. This is what he's trying to tell us. Let's look at verse number 235. Ataha prithak na asti jagat pratmanaha prithak pratiti tu mrishaha gun ahivat aropitasya astihi kim arthvataha adhishtanam abhati tatha brahmena. Ataha, therefore, prithak, separate. Na means not, asti means is. Jagat, world. Paratmanaha, from the supreme self. Prithak pratiti, separate appearance. Tu means but. Mrisha, false. Gun ahivat, like rope and snake. Gun means rope, like a string. Ahi means a snake. Aropitasya, of the superimposed thing. Asti means is. Kim means there or why. Kim. Arthvata, meaning. Adhishtanam, substratum. Abhati, appears. Tatha means like that, like also. Brahman, through delusion. Therefore, the world does not exist independent of the Supreme Self. Okay? And like the notion of its separateness is false. That this world is separate from Brahma, that is false. Can a superimposition have any meaning apart from its substratum? Through delusion, it is the substratum itself which appears like that. So in other words, the substratum is Brahma. Superimposition is what we see, the names and the forms. So in our own body, what is the substratum? The Atma. Superimposition is what? The body, the mind, the intellect, the ego. Those are all superimpositions. They just keep on changing. And we have forgotten the substratum. Just like in this outer world also, we have forgotten that Brahman is the real, God is the real. We have forgotten that. But we think only the names and the forms are the real. So this is what he is trying to bring it to our attention, that world has no separate existence from the Supreme Self, just like a body does not have any existence without the Atma. Okay? In case you are seeing anything other than Brahma, he says it's false. Earlier, he gave us the example of the blueness of the sky. He says it has no existence at all. Just like a superimposition has no existence, when the reality dawns, when you turn the light on, you know that it's a rope, it's not a snake. Snake in its totality goes away because it's only rope. It was nothing but a rope all along. And it's nothing but a Brahma all along. So that's why he says it has no existence apart from its substratum, the supreme reality. Any perception of polarity is but a delusion of the mind. That's what he's trying to tell us. 236. I'm going rather quickly through these because same idea is strung throughout these verses. Okay, sometimes with the help of the examples, sometimes the declarations from the scriptures, but he's trying to bring our mind to this reality again and again. Bhrantasya yat yat brahmatah pratitam brahm ev tat tat rajatam hi shukti hi indtyah brahm sat ev rupyate tu aropitam brahmane nam matram. Now he's giving another example here. Bhrantasya, to a deluded one, a deluded person, Bhrantasya. Yat yat, that means whatever. Brahmataha, delusion, through delusion. Pratitam, appears. Brahma, ev means alone. Tat tat, all that. Rajatam, rajatam means silver. He means indeed Shukti. Shukti is a mother of a pearl. It's like a pearl oyster. Okay? Mother of pearl is called. In the Teya, as this Brahma, Sat means existence, Ev alone, Rupyate is considered. Tu means but, Aropitam superimposed, Brahmane on Brahma, Nam Matram, mere name, Nam Matram. Through error of judgment, whatever a deluded man perceives can only be Brahma and Brahma alone. The silvery sheen perceived is nothing but a mother of a pearl. Brahm is ever present as this universe. That which is superimposed on Brahm can only be a mere name. Mere name. So whatever you can point out as this, in the Teya, this as an object can be an emotion also, it could be a thought also. Those are all objects. He says it's nothing but Brahman. Just a play in those forms or with those words. So name of a thing is because of its form. Okay? Name of a thing is because of the form. We got to remember that. The names and forms are projected on Brahman. So all the world, everything we see around us, if from any single object you remove the name and form, what remains? He says that is Brahman. Anything, remove the name and the form. So we got to contemplate on this. It's like even the leaves fluttering in the breeze, the bird perching on the tree, anything. It's not just the human beings or the things which we have, anything in the outer world also. Remove the name and the form, what remains is Sat, existence. Existence of the things. Right now we think it's the existence of the things. But this is what is called Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram also. Or Sat, Chit, Ananda also. Remove all the names and the forms. What is there? Brahman. This is the point he's trying to make it for us. Now in the next two verses, again he is bringing our attention with the help of, I think, quite a few, almost 20 terms which indicate towards Brahman. I mean, it must be so important for him that we understand that reality is Brahman. That's why he's again and again going over this for us so that we can understand it and experience it. And when we experience it, then it becomes our reality also. So verse number 237 and 238, they go together. So I'm going to go over all the words with you, and all those 20 words I'm going to go over again. I know some of them you're already familiar with, but it's good to just remind ourselves. So 237. Ataha param brahm sat advityam vishuddh vigyan ghanam niranjanam prashantam adi antvihinam akriyam nirantar anand ras Savarupam. So this is 237. Ataha, therefore, Param Supreme, Brahma, Advityam, non-dual, Advitya. So Dvitya means dual, Advitya means non-dual. Brahma. Sat means real. Vishuddh Vigyan Ghanam, the essence of pure knowledge, absolute. Niranjanam, taintless, flawless. Prashantam, supremely peaceful. Adi Ant Vihinam, without beginning and end. Akriyam, beyond activity. Nirantra, always. Anand Ras Savrupam, of the nature of bliss, absolute. Let's look at the next one also, because it's a continuation of this. Nirast Maya Krit Sarav Bhedam Nityam Sukham Nishkalam Aprameyam Arupam Avyaktam Anakhyam Avyam Jyoti Swayam Kinchit Idam Chakastihi. Nirast means transcending. Maya Krit, created by Maya. Sarva Bhedam, all distinctions. Nityam, eternal. Sukham, essence of joy. Nishkalam, indivisible. Aprameyam, immeasurable. Arupam, formless. Avyaktam, unmanifest. Anakhyam, nameless. Avyam, immutable. Jyoti Swayam, self-effulgent. There's no need for the light from outside. Kinchit, whatever, idam this, chakastihi, is manifested. Therefore, whatever is manifested is the Supreme Brahma itself. Then he goes through all these real, non-dual, extremely pure. So these are like a characteristics of the Supreme Buddha. Real, non-dual, extremely pure, the essence of knowledge, absolute, taintless, supremely peaceful, without beginning or end, beyond all activity, always of the nature of bliss, absolute, transcending all diversities created by Maya, eternal, the essence of joy, indivisible, immeasurable, formless, unmanifest, nameless, immutable, and self-effulgent. So look at the details he is giving it to us. So first he has been telling us the world of object that we see around is nothing but a Brahman. It's almost like a Brahman misrepresented by our misconceptions in the world. But in these two verses, 237 and 238, he is giving us the detail of what this Brahman is so that you can meditate on it. The very first term is Parama, transcendental. Transcendental means it's beyond body, mind, intellect. We cannot touch it. We cannot think about it. It's beyond that. So Brahm is indicated as a transcendental. So that's why we got to make this body so healthy that we can forget about this body. Because when body is sick, we really cannot transcend this body. We are worried about it. So transcendental of this body, at least for a few minutes a day. Mind is so pure and so full of peace and sattvikta that we can just transcend it. Intellect also, no churning in there. All clarity in the intellect also so that we can transcend it during meditations. Then we can really experience what he's talking about. Param. Then he says, second term he used, Sat, real. And I've been talking about this, that which remains the same in all three periods. That's a Sat. Only that thing is real. Okay, past, present, and future. Number 3, he says, Advityam, one without a second. That means it's an ultimate reality. There's no limit or condition on this. It is a non-dual. Advityam. So Param, Sat, Advityam. One without a second. And then number 4, he says, Vishuddham, extremely pure. See, something is pure when nothing is in it, other than that thing. Okay, so Vishuddha, that means there's no vasana in it. That's why for us to even transcend our mind, we got to remove the vasanas first. But in Atma, Brahma, there's no vasanas. It's Vishuddham. And then number 5, he says, Vigyan Ghanam. That means a homogeneous mass of pure knowledge. Vigyan Ghanam. Otherwise, the knowledge of the things keep on varying, keep on changing. But it's an objectless knowledge in Brahma. Absolute knowledge. That's Vigyan Ghanam. Number 6, he says, Niranjanam, without any taint. And again, taint is vasanas. Atma is beyond vasanas. So where do the vasanas reside? In the Prakriti part of our personality, in our Chitta. Chit is different than the Atma. Atma does not have any vasanas. That's why we are all same. In essence, we are all same. Number 7, he says, Prashantam, supremely peaceful, no agitations. So it's not just a temporary cessation of the thoughts. It's a prashant. Because our mind, we can make it shant here and there. But this Atma is prashant. Then number 8, he says, Adi Anta Vihinam, devoid of beginning and end. This physical existence, we have a beginning and we have an end. We were born and we'll die, this physical body. But Atma never dies. It's eternal. Adi ant vihinam. Then akriye, beyond activity. Atma doesn't do any activity. Brahm doesn't do any activity. Activity is done by what? Prakriti. Prakriti part in us. Okay? Because otherwise, what can Atma do? What can Brahm do? It doesn't need to do anything. There's no vasanas, no desires, nothing to do. Then Nirantar Anand Ras Savarupam, of the nature of eternal bliss. So it's not just ordinary happiness. Bliss is its state. So Atma is beyond the tossing of the mind and intellect. Okay? Otherwise, we feel happiness here and unhappiness there. But Atma is beyond that. So that's why I said Nirantar Anand Ras Savrupam. Number 11, he says, transcending all diversities created by Maya. Nirast Maya Krit Sarva Bhedam. And we all know what Maya is. Maya means non-apprehension of reality. Maya is the one which creates confusions, which creates the diversities, which creates the world of polarity. But Brahm or the Atma is beyond that. Then number 13, he says, Sukham, the essence of pleasure, essence. We are looking for Sukh, but where is the Sukh coming from? From Brahm or the Atma. Okay? Because that is what illumines all these emotions, all these sentiments of joy. Nishkalam, without any parts. Because we said it's limitless, it's unconditional. So without a second, cannot have parts. Nishkalam. Aprameyam, immeasurable. So you really cannot know it with the help of the means. Okay? You cannot even measure it, immeasurable. Then arupam, formless. Because somebody says, what is the form of it then? This Brahm. It's arupa. Because eternal cannot have it. It's a infinite. How can infinite have a form? It's limitless. There can be no form of it. Okay? Then number 17, avyaktam, unmanifested. Because something which cannot be sensed by senses or sense organs, cannot be felt by the mind, cannot be comprehended by the intellect, is unmanifested. Avyaktam. Anakyam, nameless. There is no form, so there cannot be any name. You cannot distinguish it. So nameless. Avyam, immutable. That which is eternal and changeless, sure, you cannot mute it, you cannot change it. Jyoti Savrupam, the last one he says. So altogether there are 20 arrows towards this truth. Jyotis Swayam, self-luminous, self-effulgent. You don't need any other light, any other medium to know this. Because this is the light of consciousness by which the whole world is illumined. So beautiful words, whether you want to just concentrate on one to reach there or change here and there, try to comprehend. Even though it cannot be comprehended, ultimately it has to be experienced and we need to meditate upon it. But these 20 terms are indicative of the Atma, the self or the Brahma. There's no difference between Atma and the Brahma. Remember that. So none of them or all of them cannot define it. We cannot say that, oh, I have memorized all of them, I have understood all of them, now I can define Brahma. We cannot define Brahma. But each of them suggests, and all of them help us to understand, or at least we can point our mind towards this reality. Okay, so that's how we should look at it. It's not a definition of a Brahma. It's just like just a pointer towards it, so that our limited mind can comprehend a little bit of it or understand it. What this God is all about. This Brahma is the creator, the sustainer, ultimately the dissolver. Who is he? Okay, so we'll stop it here today, and we'll start. He's not done. He's gonna further explain it to us in next few verses too. The same thought. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.